Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Niels Lund. I'm representing Novo Nordisk as one of the partners behind the Healthy Food Challenge. The other partner is EAT, a global non-profit organization dedicated to transforming our global food system. This webinar is dedicated to the finalization of the Healthy Food Challenge. With the Healthy Food Challenge, we wanted to, as we said, identify solutions that can be scaled to advance healthier, sustainable food environments for vulnerable people. Or maybe put in a simpler way, we wanted to make the healthier choice the easier choice for all. We got more than 100 ideas, and we are thrilled to have the 3 winners with us today at this webinar for all of you to learn about their specific intervention, so you can also be inspired from that. So I'd like to welcome and congratulate the winners. We have with us Gwyneth Cortez from Cambodia, representing Healthy Schools, Healthy Snacks, Healthy Futures. Then we have Gonçalo Folgado from Portugal, representing Food from the Block. And finally, the third winner, Taylor Quinn, representing Tailored Food. With me in the studio, I have Paul Block, who is a senior researcher from the Steno Diabetes Center program, Steno's Diabetes Center, Copenhagen. Paul was a leading member of the global selection panel, so the ones who actually took us from the 100 ideas to the 3 winners. And Paul will help us facilitate the presentation of the interventions, the winners, but also to manage a Q&A about the ones who have actually won. So I'd like to hand it over to you, Paul, to maybe just say a few words about how did we actually come from the more than 100 suggestions to the 3 that we have with us in the studio today. Paul?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Niels, and thank you very much for inviting me to facilitate this session on behalf of the Global Selection Panel, of which I had the pleasure of being a member since the launching of the Healthy Food Challenge in January this year until the great finale in October. During the course of these 10 months, the 7 members of the Global Selection Panel reviewed a total number of 101 project proposals submitted by organizations and institutions from around the world. The proposals were first narrowed down to 30 in April, and thereafter, in another round of review that took place in June, to 10 proposals based on a rather sophisticated scoring system and a wide range of predefined assessment criteria, including issues such as need, feasibility, innovation, impact, sustainability, scalability, collaboration, capacity, and community engagement. The teams that had developed the 10 remaining proposals were invited to a boot camp to allow them to work with their projects under guidance and supervision by various resource persons. And then in October, last month, each of the 10 teams made an online pitch of their projects to the Global Selection Panel. On this basis, the 3 winning projects were chosen by consensus, but after very long and excessively difficult discussions. And today, we shall hear representatives from the 3 winning teams present their projects. Each winner will be on stage for 20 minutes in total, during which we shall have a live introduction to the project team, followed by a short video about the project, and again followed by a live presentation of the current project status and action plans, and ending with a 10-minute Q&A session at which you, as an audience, can ask live questions to the presenter. So please post your questions already now or during the presentations by clicking on the question mark on the right-hand side of your screen. I will forward as many questions as possible to the presenter. So, I think we are set. I will start by giving the word to Gwyneth Cortez, who represents the initiative called Healthy Schools, Healthy Snacks, Healthy Futures. This initiative is implemented in Cambodia, and it was chosen as a winner because it is well described, well designed, and highly focused, with clear objectives and actions, and a robust framework for evaluating co-creation processes between small-scale vendors, school staff, parents, and children for environmental change for healthy eating among pupils in primary schools. The word is yours, Gwyneth.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. My name, as he says, is Gwyneth Cortez. I'm representing Helen Keller International, and we'll be presenting the Healthy Schools, Healthy Snacks, Healthy Futures project. And we'll start out with a quick video about the project.
One of the main factors is the increased availability of the unhealthy snack food at the school. Those children cannot make a good decision, and plus, there's no choice at the school for the healthy food.
Not a lot of projects focus on children in the school years. So we think it's really important to tackle this group because that's an age when children are starting to be more independent about what they eat. They're making their own choices. They make their own choices at school in terms of what they eat. And a lot of the behaviors and the patterns that they start now when they're in school are going to be behaviors that they take with them into the future.
More than 1 in 8 children aged from 6 to 19 are overweight and obese, especially related to the diet problem.
កត្តាដែលធ្វើឲ្យកូនខ្ញុំមិនទទួលបានអាហារសុខភាពគឺជាពិសេសទៅសាលារៀនដែលជាពិសេសពេលទៅសាលារៀននិងពេលដែលមិននៅជាមួយនឹងខ្ញុំចាពេលទៅសាលារៀនគាត់ចូលចិត្តហូបនំកញ្ចប់ចាហើយនំកញ្ចប់ធ្វើឲ្យមានរសជាតិប្រៃហឹរចាហើយឬក៏ទឹកដែលមានរសជាតិផ្អែមខ្លាំង
ណែនាំបាទណែនាំដល់សិស្សក៏ដូចជាលោកគ្រូយើងឲ្យជួយផ្សព្វផ្សាយដល់សិស្សរបស់យើងអំពីសារៈសំខាន់នៃការបរិភោគអាហារដែលទាក់ទងនឹងអាហារផ្ដល់ដល់សុខភាពរបស់សិស្សហ្នឹងទី1បាទទី2យើងផ្សព្វផ្សាយដល់សហគមន៍ក៏ដូចជាអាណាព្យាបាលរបស់សិស្សទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងឲ្យជួយជំរុញឲ្យសិស្សហ្នឹងបានងាកមកហូបអាហារដែលជាអាហារចាត់ទុកជាអាហារដែលមានរបបអាហារត្រឹមត្រូវ
In this project, we aren't coming in with the interventions already designed. We are going to design the interventions with the communities and with the schools, with the students and the parents and the teachers. So we don't really know yet what exactly they're going to say they need. And then it's our job to help them realize those goals and help them achieve what they want within their schools and help them come up with ideas for how they want to change things.
បាទតាមរយៈរបបអាហារសុខភាពរបស់កុមារនេះយើងមានក្តីសង្ឃឹមយ៉ាងមុតមមថាកុមារមានចំណេះដឹងបាទអាចជ្រើសរើសនៅសមត្ថភាពលើការជ្រើសរើសរបស់គាត់គឺចំណីអាហារដែលប្រកបដោយសុខសុវត្ថិភាពរបស់គាត់ហ្នឹងបន្តហូបរហូតដល់ពីគាត់នៅរៀនទីនេះនិងរហូតដល់គាត់ពេញវ័យ
So we have to think about the system that they're in, what is being promoted to them, what is available to children, what do they know about the foods that they're getting. So there's a whole system around kids that we need to influence to be able to make long-term changes. We may find that there are some simple interventions that work really great and can be scaled up. But, I think for us, success would really look like, local solutions for local schools.
Thank you. So I just have a few minutes to give you an update on where we are, and I also wanted to share just a bit of background on where this project came from. So it really grew out of the research that we've been doing in the region, looking at this transition that I mentioned away from fresh local foods towards packaged, processed, unhealthy snack foods. And in East Asia and Southeast Asia, that transition is actually happening faster than anywhere else in the world. So for us, we see the Healthy Food Challenge initiative as an opportunity to put the brakes on that process and try to, intervene before the situation becomes really bad, as it is in a lot of higher income countries. And one of the things that we've been doing is looking at the food environment in schools in collaboration with WFP. And what we've been seeing is that whole system around kids in the school age is different from the types of environment that we usually see when we work with young children at home. So for example, in Cambodia, kids get a little bit of pocket money from their parents every day to buy snacks at school. So they're starting to have some autonomy over what they choose, and that is setting up patterns for later life. The vendors are actually setting up stalls directly within the schools or around the school grounds, and they target what they sell to the budgets of the children, to the tastes of the children. And most of what they sell then is unhealthy packaged snack foods. Even though there are policies in Cambodia actually to prevent against the sale of unhealthy foods in schools. So what we realized with this project is that if we want to change that food environment, we have to work with everybody who's involved in the food environment, in the food system at schools. And that means the children who are buying and choosing foods, the parents who are giving them money to buy foods, the vendors who are selling to them and who want to make a profit themselves. We want to involve the teachers who are already actively involved in the school health and nutrition program in the country, and also school administrators. So in this intervention, we plan to bring all of these people together, maybe not all of them, but representatives from each of those groups to facilitate dialogue. And a big part of that is going to be looking at the food environment at the schools as they already are, and assessing that food environment and sharing that with the communities. And then through the dialogue process, we will talk about the current situation. We will discuss what is their vision for a healthy school environment. And we'll work with them to identify some small actions or solutions that they can implement within their own schools. And we're going to do that in 3 different schools. We'll adapt the process as we go. And we'll also have the opportunity to actually help them pilot and evaluate the solutions. So we will see through that if there's potential to scale up any of these interventions at a wider scale. And then at the end of the day, we're going to develop simple guidelines, and we'll work with the Ministry of Education and the School Health Department to develop tools that the schools can use with parent groups or with the school health program to facilitate similar dialogues in other schools where they can look at the food environment and think about how they could improve their school food environment. So what makes this project really exciting for us is we're looking at the problem from a systems perspective, from a food environment perspective, which is new, I think, for a lot of projects. We're going to be including the perspectives of vendors, and we have done some formative research already, kind of looking at vendor perspectives and the opportunities for change. We're also letting the communities take the lead in terms of identifying solutions. And we are there to support and to facilitate rather than coming up with, one-size-fits-all solution. We recognize that's going to make it harder to scale up. So right from the start, we'll be working with the Ministry of Education and the School Health Department to get them involved in developing the process and the tools so that at the end of the day, they can be, simple tools that they can use. So where are we now? We delayed the start of the project by a few months, so we'll start in January because the schools in Cambodia only just reopened and they're still in transition. There's a lot of settling in. But in January, we're going to start. Sorry, do you want me to continue? Okay.
I think you should finish your sentence, Gwyneth.
Okay, I just have a couple more. Yeah, I was just going to say we're going to be working with a human-centered design expert to try to help us create processes that are really participatory and engaging. And we're also looking at how to really best bring out the perspectives of children through the project because we anticipate that's going to be a challenge. So those are kind of some of the things that we're doing now, and we're also engaging with the Ministry of Education, the School Health Department, to get them involved in the process from the beginning. So that's kind of our early stages, and we're really looking forward to getting started.
Thank you so much, Gwyneth. We will now go into a Q&A session of 10 minutes, and I will ask everyone who feels like it to raise questions on the right-hand side of your screen. But the first question will be on me. And you mentioned, Gwyneth, the vendors, and I'm quite curious to hear about the motivation of vendors to change their marketing strategy towards more healthy food items and snacks. What is their motivation? Are they really motivated or are they forced? And would they be prepared to change strategy at a loss as well?
There are two factors. There's kind of a push and a pull factor. And we have talked to vendors already. Their main concerns are profitability. So they want to know that there would be a demand for healthier, fresh foods. And their other big concern is waste. Because fresh food can spoil quicker, fruits and vegetables, so they don't want to have a lot of waste. But they are willing to bring in more fresh foods. We're not really anticipating that they're going to completely throw out all of the ramen noodles and the sodas and stuff right away, because those are high profit items for them. So we're hoping that they will bring in more healthy options as one aspect. But there is also a policy an enforcement angle. There is a directive that prohibits the sale of sugar-sweetened beverages and unhealthy foods in schools. And so there could also be solutions that focus around that enforcement, but we're hoping that, they'll meet in the middle through this dialogue process so that, vendors understand both the regulations that exist, but also the opportunities for profit and how we could, make fresh, healthier foods more appealing.
So do you think that if they change strategy at a loss, that they will sustain their new marketing strategy, or will they then sort of insist on going back to previous days where they sold more unhealthy items?
We're looking for our items that can be packaged in very small quantities. And so the price point really, it could be, manipulated based on what they choose to sell, one banana, one egg. So, there are opportunities to work with vendors and figure out what would be a business model that works. Like I said, we're kind of waiting to see what the vendors and the schools come up with in terms of their own recommendations, what they think is feasible, and we understand that there's going to be compromise, and that's how dialogue works. So, we're kind of interested to see how that plays out, actually.
You also mentioned your relationship to ministries in Cambodia, and I'm curious to hear what you think, how you judge the chances that this intervention will reach policy levels and be, let's say, unfolded or scaled up at a wider level, such as a city level or even at a national level. What will you do? What is the process that you foresee to bring this into scale?
Yeah, I mean, the school health department here is very active. They're very concerned about nutrition. They're very committed to seeing healthier schools. So we have a really strong partner there already. So for us, the easier side of it is developing tools and guidelines and getting that endorsement from government stakeholders. The more difficult part will be getting the uptake down at the school level, if we anticipate that being one of the challenges. So Helen Keller is actually the chair of the National Nutritional Civil Society Alliance. So in our plan, we plan to work with the other members. There are more than 50 members of civil society organizations working in Cambodia that we can work with to help scale up support to the school health department. And that network reaches every single province in Cambodia.
Thank you so much. We have a question now from Jennifer Nilsson, who asks, have you thought yet of how you will work with the children to learn from them how best to motivate them to choose healthy options over junk?
Yeah, we have. One resource that we would like to use is in Cambodia, there is actually a group of young people called Youth Nutrition Champions, and there are currently about 25 of them. And we will use some of them as sort of volunteers and interns, and they go around the country and they facilitate youth forums and dialogues already with kind of high school age children. So we'd like to work with them to help facilitate discussions with younger children. And we also anticipate that there may be a need to do a separate process with school children to get their input, and that could be creative ways through art, contests, or school activities to get those perspectives, because we do anticipate that putting kids and local leaders together in the same group, the kids might end up having their voices sort of drowned out. But we really want to make sure that young people are heard and that their preferences are also taken into account.
And then we have some questions about parent or family involvement. Tina Enevoldsen asks, do you also plan to work with the families? Some children get their food from home or go home for school lunch.
We are going to focus on food that children can get at school. So that will be the main emphasis on the food that they're purchasing at school. One thing that could come out of it is improvements in nutrition education that's provided to children at school and more awareness. So that could filter through to what is provided at home, but definitely the emphasis is going to be in school. And we recognize that's just one part of what kids are eating. But it's actually a pretty big part here. It's one of the main places for children access unhealthy foods. And it's such a big challenge that we feel like even if we can start to address one aspect of this really big food system problem, then we're going to be, hopefully making some progress there. But yeah, we recognize we're not trying to change everything in the food system around kids. We're focusing at the school level.
Yeah. So some questions, they center around the engagement process in itself. And a question is, can you describe the nature and the scope of the engagement process between the many different stakeholders, from vendors to children to parents to school staff? What is going to happen? How can we envisage what is going to happen in practice once you get there to the school?
Well, the first part of the project is actually finalizing those tools and those discussion guides. What we expect is to, spend a couple of days at the school really understanding the current environment and the current situation. The first part of those dialogues will be reviewing what is the current situation with the stakeholder groups. And then, the next part of the process is really ideation, just coming up with ideas, what could work, and whittling those down until they choose, one or two options that they want to try out that they think are feasible. And then, over the next month or two, we will work with the schools to try to implement those solutions, review, and then do further dialogue to see how did it go? What do we need to change? What's working, what's not working?
A final question Gwyneth, is from Alan Kaduri, which I think is very interesting. It's about availability and accessibility of healthy food products for the vendors to procure and offer to the consumer. Have you considered that availability and accessibility?
Yeah, like I said, there was some formative work in Cambodia. To identify some foods that are available as far as food. But there are also, locally made snacks. When we talk to parents have a preference for locally made foods. Actually, they view, local breads, muffins, things like that as more healthy than packaged foods, which is interesting. But locally made foods aren't necessarily healthier. So we'd have to kind of talk to the communities about what makes a healthy food, what doesn't make a healthy food. There are other options, not eggs. It's mainly fresh foods that are available, but there's also the potential for kind of healthy snack foods that could be sourced from local suppliers or available on the market as well.
Gwyneth, congratulations with your project. It is indeed very, very exciting. And from this side, we wish you all the best with the implementation. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And the next presenter is Gonzalo Folgado, who will represent an initiative called Food from the Block, Empowering Communities Through Food. And this initiative is implemented in Portugal. And it was chosen as a winner because it successfully articulated and integrated a profound understanding of the nature of vulnerability, while applying a highly participatory, value-based and respectful approach to community engagement, empowerment and food education among vulnerable population groups living in disadvantaged urban neighborhoods of Lisbon. So, Gonzalo, the word is yours.
Hey, thank you for all that we have been doing in this contest. It's really cool to be here. My name is Gonzalo Folgado, and I'm part of a broader team that is providing food from the block. I am Gonzalo. We have Joana, João, and Alice Artur that will accompany us also during this webinar. And I will now invite you to see a little bit of our video, and then further on I'm going to talk about what are the steps that we are going to take in the next times.
Our idea is to make people cook again and make this cooking time of the family playful and a joyful moment, and then in a bigger scale put all the community around the table cooking together, thinking about their stories through food.
So why do we need more healthy foods? There is a lot of abundance of foods, but in terms of nutrition, there is about none.
Não sabem como fazer. Porque vais a um dietista, tem que fazer dieta. Só pode comer isto. E depois a pessoa fica com aquela sensação que vai ali e vai virar grilo. Quem sabe bem, com menos de metade das calorias, é óbvio que eu vou optar por esse caminho.
Claro.
Às vezes, eu até acho mesmo que as pessoas não optam tanto.
People are not having time, and by not having time, what are the people choices? The fastest one: processed food and fast food and fat food. What we aim to do with this is we can re-educate ourselves to eat more healthier. This is a community engagement project about food literacy. It's also an act of participative democracy, where we are going to transform people's and this community's identity to a menu. Everybody have an history about food, about some dessert that their grandmother cooked for us, and we want to collect that memory, that history, and we want to gather that whole identity from the neighborhood and to deconstruct and to reassemble into a new dish, a nutritional one, but also very strong in terms of identity of the neighborhood. We are going to enhance this part by providing these training sessions about how to manage family budget towards healthy food. How can I provide better nutrition to the community, to my family, and also to create these diners, these events, entrepreneurship way as well. Winning this prize, it will be impactful in the neighborhood because it will provide us with the resources to be in the neighborhood, even with more time, with more care, to reinforce the trust and the proximity bonds that we have been creating in the last 10 years, but in this time about food. The way you cook, the way you share a meal, this is also identity, and that is something that we have not quite explored yet in these terms. My hopes from Food from the Block, it's not about the final experience, but to enjoy and the community to enjoy the whole process of being together, of being around the food table and to discover or to rediscover the passion about cooking, about prepping some meals for families.
So this is Food from the Block. To sum it up, we are going to take a picture of the neighborhood about on the community, and what we will get, it will be a communities menu that will be presented to the whole city in order to open even more the neighborhood to other communities and to show that, that their identity into this neighborhood. This will be this can be a replicable project with a higher level of scalability, but all the result will be, all the outcomes will be different because it will be different places with different communities in different times. So this is a really cool experience that we aim to provide. But much more than explaining the project itself, because in the video it's really clear, I want you to know what we are going to do next. And by doing this community engagement thing, our local partners in Ajuda, Amigos do B2M, a local association that is working with the community with us as well, and the parish of Ajuda, has already challenged us to make something. And this something will happen on the 18th of December. And we are going to make this food experience with the kids of the neighborhood. They are going to present their Christmas theater, and and in that day as well, they are going to make this workshop, this food experience, in order to reinterpret Christmas, the desserts, Christmas dishes, but to reinterpret them into healthy, local, and seasonal food by fighting the food waste with the local commerciants of the market of the parish itself. And the kids are going to provide this amazing food experience to their parents. In fact, they are going to cook for their parents and to show them how cool it will be to fight food waste and making healthy food for the grown-ups. So this will be a very impactful thing and a really cool one to see it happen as well. We are also planning and rescheduling the project in order to understand what are the initiatives, what are the projects, who are the partners involved in the community's life, in order to conjugate them all, in order to combine these initiatives and to combine the impacts, so we can be stronger. We are not going to work alone. We are working in this synergic network of partners and other people with us. So this will be a really cool opportunity to reunite us together and to combine, to share resources and to combine these impacts, as I already told. One of the other things that we are doing as well, we are mapping the ecosystem to understand who are the other stakeholders working on food in Lisbon, and not only in Lisbon, but once again to identify strategic partnerships, once again to understand what are the resources that we can share, once again to combine the impacts. And this is really important to us because sometimes we work overlapping one on each other, and that's not a proper way to work. We want to work in complementarity, and this is one of the coolest thing to work in partnerships and broader networks. Also, we are understanding how we are going to communicate. What is our graphical identity? What is our brand? Because Food from the Block, it's not only a project. We are going to create this cool brand, these impactful actions, this program that will act as a... We want to bring coolness into this kind of project. Sometimes it's something that is lacking, and it's not that engaging for the social, the society itself. So we want to make this as a really cool brand to make it happen, and to make this a reality. We have to make a really impactful and engaging strategic planning about communication, because it's not only about to generate the impact on the territory, on that first circle of people. You also have to make it broader. For least but not for last, which is the basis of all of this work, community engagement. We are bringing up this subject about food, about histories, about memories, about the passion of being in the front of the oven to being in the kitchen. We are bringing these subjects to the conversations that we have with the people on the neighborhood, because we have been working in the past 10 years with this community, and we are going to continue to work over the next 10 years with them. But now with this lens, with this scope about food and memory. And I think it's all. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Gonzalo. And again, we will jump into a Q&A, and I will again ask everyone who feels like it to pose questions on the screen. But I will take the liberty, Gonzalo, to ask the first question, and that is about innovation. What is it that Food from the Block is doing that is innovative, that has not been seen before in Portugal or in the wider world for that matter? Can you put some words on that?
Yep, I think I'm able to. It's the community engagement thing about food. To rediscover the passion of being cooking to your family, to your friends, even to your community. It's to rediscover this collective identity through food, by the ingredients that we are using, but much more than the ingredients, the memories that those ingredients are bringing to us. Even the participated work that we are doing with the community, because we are not coming to the neighborhood with this formula, this magical formula. We are going to bring to the community a lot of options of how is this training program is going to happen, and the people in the neighborhood are going to choose what are the trainings, what are the workshops, what are the subjects, the matters that matters to them. Because I might think that people want to have this time management or this budget management formation or workshop, but maybe they want to know what is the seasonal foods, what are the locally produced ingredients that they can be producing. So having this freedom to bring to the people, like, what are your needs and what can we serve you? I think this will be it's the attitude. It's really the mindset that we are bringing into the community, because we are specialists in the things that we do. It's something that is certain, but we are not that kind of experts that we have like Mrs. and Mr. Know-it-all. We know it all because community are going to inform us. I don't know, Elise, if you want to add something. Elise is also a member of our team. She's a co-creator of the project. Elise, do you want to add something? You are not having mic.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much to be here. I'm very, very happy. Thank you, Gonzalo. I just want to add about what Gonzalo was saying. Is exactly this, that we want to really use food as a language, as a common language. And I believe this is very innovative in the way that we want to work with people. So we want people to think their own stories and the stories of their neighborhoods through food. So they will develop this menu around their own stories. And I think this is quite innovative, and especially because we believe very much, as Gonzalo was saying, that the way that we will introduce ourselves in our work into the neighborhoods, the way that we will introduce ourselves to these people and to work with them is really something that we want to be very careful and not intrusive. And we want really to co-create which the activities this neighborhood will need. So we use this excuse of the menu to make a series of activities and workshops around food with the people, but using always this common language, which is their own stories through food. So the menu that they will create about their own stories, and I believe this is innovation.
Thank you so much, Alice and Gonzalo. A question about transferability. It sounds like this is very much embedded in a local context, the memories, the stories, and so forth, the community around food. Have you considered how to transfer your project, your intervention to other communities in Portugal or elsewhere? And how would that be done?
I'm really thank you for that question, because this is a plus of innovation in our project, I believe. We are during the whole process, because like it's really clear in the video, it's not about the result itself, it's about the process. And if you want to understand the process, you have to make a route. And that's what we are going to do. We are making this route of what we are doing, when we are doing, what are the outcomes, the impacts, and all the objectives and the goals that we are going to achieve in order to design this really cool toolkit that will be brought to everybody in the world. It can be happening in Lisbon as well, in another neighborhood. It can be happening in Portugal. It can be happening in Spain, Italy, Ghana, in China, whatever. But the really cool thing about this route, about this toolkit, is that all the outcomes that are going to happen before applying our methodology will be different, because it will be in the different places, it will be in the different communities with different people and within different time. Because if we are going to repeat Food from the Block in 2013, I would say, the outcome with this very same methodology will be really different, because this is a unique experience that people are going to provide. But the methodology, it's really thinking to happen something like that, using the same steps, getting new outcomes. And this, I'm sorry, but I'm not that humble, but this is innovation. This is really innovative.
And do you think that policymakers will also find it innovative? Do you think that they will find it attractive to have and engage in such processes rather than seeing concrete figures as outcomes in, let's say, health and food behavioral change and so forth? How will you convince politicians, or will you convince politicians at all? Is that part of your ambition for, let's say, more integrated food policies and strategies at, let's say, provincial, national level and so forth?
They are already convinced. Thank you once again for the question, because they are partners. We have the municipality with us, we have the parishes with us, which are the local power structures. And once they knew the idea, once they saw the potential in it, they wanted to be on board. And in Portugal right now, we're having this really cool openness about engaging people into participatory projects. Either way, what the color of the politicians are, they are really understanding that by bringing people into the center of the decision, by making this decision making open to the community, it's something that the politics in the next years it will turn into. And politics are also really smart people, because they have to be. And knowing their smartness, they wanted to be with us on board, because we are engaging community, we are creating collective intelligence that is really important to understand what are the next local action plans, what are the needs, and in whatever ways as the social state has to serve those needs. So I think they are already convinced, and this is a really powerful weapon that we have as well right now.
Fantastic.
Elise, you want to add something on this one?
Yes, I want, thank you, Gonçalo. I want to add that actually we have something very concrete to show. It's going to be actually the events that we are having. And this is the most, I will say, sexy part of the project, because we will have this big events where we will invite all the city to come and to taste the stories of these people. So basically, we will have a menu that will tell a story about this specific neighborhood, this specific people that are doing that. And so we believe that actually these events can be a very sexy thing. And so we have that to show to the neighborhood, to show to the politicians, to show to everyone, to the community in general, to the Lisbon city as well. And for us, it's very, very important to put the story of these people in the spotlight, so they can be their own main actors in their own stories. And we believe that this is very important, and I just want to add that.
Thank you so much. We have a very 1 minute left for a question from Anna Brive Tolosa, who asks, a super interesting project. I have a question about what barriers you've had during the project and what you have done in order to overcome these barriers. For instance, barriers such as economic ones. Can you answer that question?
I think right now it's a little bit early to talk about barriers, because the community engagement part that is for sure it is the hardest part on this one. It's already been done in the last 10 years. In fact, João and me, we were born to our professions in the neighborhood that we are working into. Like when we were still students of the Faculty of Architecture in 2011, we were just, okay, we are just fed up of having these really cool classes about architecture and urbanism. We are going to head for the neighborhood in order to start to make these connections with the community. So right now we didn't have any kind of difficulties on this, because it's on the community engagement part, and that part is it's not easy, but it's already done. And come on. Our partners were the ones who challenged us to make this event on the 11th, on December, on the next 18th of December. So I don't think for now we haven't felt any kind of difficulties, but once we are having these difficulties, we are going to communicate them to everybody, to broadcast it. And it's really cool for us not to disclose the whole project right now, because we want us to follow on our social media. So it will be really cool for you to engage with us on this level as well.
Thank you so much, Gonzalo. We will certainly do that, and we will see which barriers arise and how you solve them. That is going to be very interesting. Congratulations to both you and your team and Alice and others about this very interesting project. Thank you so much to all of you.
Thank you.
And the third and last presenter is Taylor Quinn, who represents an initiative called Delicious, Nutritious, Culturally Relevant Food Products Sold to People Suffering from Malnutrition. And this initiative is implemented in selected countries in Africa and South America. It was chosen as a winner because it builds on a strong and well-tested conceptual framework and approach for empowering local entrepreneurs, mainly women, to work together to produce and sell healthy, cheap and locally made food products to malnourished families living in extreme poverty. So the words is yours, Taylor.
Thank you so much. And a huge thank you to Novo Nordisk and the other partners who planned the Healthy Food Challenge. And I'm Taylor Quinn, the founder of a social enterprise called Tailored Food. And we'd love to start today with our short video. Tailored Food's goal is to ensure that good quality food is available in local markets. When I heard, hey, selling healthy food to low-income people, it's not possible, that definitely piqued my interest to ask the question, like, maybe it is. I started Tailored Food, which is a nonprofit social enterprise, to try to ensure that there was good quality food for everyone, everywhere, to purchase in their local markets every day. Starting in Liberia and scaling up from there, we develop and scale up nutritious, delicious, low-cost food products, partnering with grassroots entrepreneurs in developing countries.
Taylor support has been helping Kawada farmers by creating better formulations that will give better nutrition to children in schools, to employ more women that are working with us.
most of our children come to school hungry. So the school can play a major role, like to have a school feeding on campus for the children, because when the children come, those who don't have lunch, those who never ate at home, at least they can have something on campus to eat. So if the school have a school feeding, that's a great role it will play in the lives of the children.
I see this potential in this program helping this particular community grow more cassava.
We identified a group of farmers that really wanted to take their cassava farming and turn it into a true nutritious food. During this work in Liberia and then going to other markets, I've learned fundamentally that healthy, delicious food that is affordable to the extreme poor, that's actually possible. And initially, it took me over 2 years in Liberia to really, build something that worked. So believe me, there was many days where I definitely doubted myself and, what we were trying to do. Hopefully, if big food companies start making their products, healthier, if there's better supports for small enterprises to sell healthy food at the community level, then we can, take our foot off the gas a little bit. But until that point, there's too much work to do.
Thank you once again to Novo Nordisk and the other partner organizations for creating this video about what we're doing at Tailored Food, focused on delicious and nutritious and culturally relevant food in communities around the world. And so to take a little bit of a step back, I was living in Liberia in 2015 during the Ebola outbreak, and I was witnessing every day, and I was there for a different job, different opportunity, but I was witnessing every day the fact that charities were very good at treating children suffering from malnutrition in healthcare centers and clinics. But the question of why were kids getting malnourished? What was available for purchase in local markets? And why wasn't what was available in local markets, why wasn't those food items, those options, why weren't they giving kids the nutrition they needed? And so, maybe a little bit different from some other interventions in this space, when we at Tailored Food, we look at the problem as not, the problem is not people and the choices they're making. People want to, when I talk to moms, whether in Liberia, Congo, Brazil, Somalia, Madagascar, Nepal, when we are doing this work in communities, moms want to feed their kids good quality food every day. The problem is that healthy, really tasty food that's affordable is not available in their local markets. And so we take a very much product-based approach to this problem, where we ask the question, hey, is it possible to design better food products that are culturally relevant, that taste really good, that are marketed really well, and most importantly, that are actually profitable for local businesses to produce? And so a model can be financially sustainable in the long run. I come to this work as a food anthropologist academically, and after spending years working with smallholder farming communities in places like Canada, my home country, Western Ethiopia, Liberia, and other markets, and have combined that with the perspective of Silicon Valley and the food technology world of how do you make better products that get people really excited. So we have a network of chefs, of food safety experts, of process engineers that we plug in on a project by project basis, and we find that local entrepreneurs in countries like Liberia, Ko and his team in Liberia at Quada Farms are the best partners in order to build a project that truly has lasting financial sustainability. And so for us, just to highlight the numbers a little bit, we've already sold 675,000 meals across Liberia and Congo, and are close to launching in places like Mozambique with the low-cost peanut butter project. In the video, it didn't touch on it, but in Liberia, we sell a fermented and flavored cassava-based porridge. We market it, we build sexy marketing campaigns with hip hop stars, comedians, etc. In Congo, we sell a banana leaf wrapped snack bar. And with the funding from the Healthy Food Challenge and the support We want to both deepen our business model in Liberia and Congo. We want to move from, being more reactive to project opportunities in new countries to being really proactive. And so to do that, we're hiring our first 2 full-time staff. So up until now, we've been a completely volunteer-run organization, but we'll be hiring our first 2 staff, which is really exciting. And we'll be expanding the tailored food approach of partnering with local entrepreneurs to design and take to market healthy, delicious food products to 3 new countries over the course of 2022. So once again, thank you to Novo Nordisk. Thank you to the organizers of the Healthy Food Challenge for giving us this opportunity to share what we're doing with the world. And we're here to try to work with local entrepreneurs in all corners of the world and some of the hardest hit places by malnutrition to, again, design and take to market healthy food products that can be profitable, that can be locally produced, but most importantly, that give a mom or a parent in a low-income community the easy choice to feed their kid good quality food every day. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Taylor. So this project is different from the other 2 projects we have heard about in the sense that this is about scaling an intervention and consolidating a strategic model, a business model, so that it will be more impactful regionally and worldwide. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, that's a good summary, Paul.
Yeah. So you are saying that in your project that the initiative involves various partners throughout the value chain. And these partners, they are quite numerous. They are local farmers, entrepreneurs, street vendors, and other stakeholders involved at the community level. Can you elaborate a bit on how they are working together? Are they working cooperatively or are they working individually through you as an organization? Or how is this kind of engagement organized?
Yeah, so, let's use Liberia as an example. So, these different partners in what we would call the value chain from, farmers who are growing different crops every day all the way to a sales agent who might be walking around in a community selling food on a commission basis. And everyone kind of in the middle, drivers, food processors, etc. All those people are already operating the food system today. So when we think about, a food system and whether it's working today, the food system is working today. There's all those stakeholders are already working collaboratively. The problem is that the food that is going from farm into a processing facility into an end market, that food is not necessarily very healthy. It might be calorie dense, but it might be really lacking in nutrition. It might be, full of sugar and other unhealthy flavorings. And so the role of tailored food is to work with all the different stakeholders in that already existing value chain to create healthier food product concepts that are, again, aligned with what people are already eating today, aligned with cultural norms, and then to take those products to market. So maybe, for example, there's a way we can process cassava at the farm community level to keep more of the nutrition in cassava and not lose as much of the nutrition at the processing level. Maybe there's something we can do at the market level to ensure that a product is again retaining its nutrition, and we're using natural flavorings, for example, rather than chemical flavorings or rather than only flavoring products with sugar. But it is kind of a complex model with a lot of partners. But again, we're not interested in kind of redesigning a value chain. We're asking the question, hey, what value chain already has worked in Liberia for years, if not decades? And how do we support those different entrepreneurs throughout the value chain in improving access to healthy food?
So how come do market forces not take that direction already by itself? If there is a demand for healthy and locally produced food products, how come the market has not discovered that market already?
Yeah, honestly, Paul, this is the question that keeps me up at night and has had me obsessed with this space for the last 6 years, is because here's a couple of facts. people everywhere want to feed their families good food. Making good food is not that hard, and it doesn't cost that much money. Healthy food is not actually that expensive when you really get down to it, and if you design innovative business models. And the third fact, big food companies sell unhealthy food to people in extreme poverty every day and make a lot of money doing that. So you can sell food to people in extreme poverty. Making healthy food is not that much more expensive, and families everywhere want their kids to eat healthy, good quality food. So why do we have the problems we have today, right? And we believe, those three core truths really guide everything we do. And we believe there's just been, a little bit of misalignment. Food companies aren't necessarily incentivized to make their products healthy, because maybe it's a little bit cheaper to make unhealthy food compared to healthy food. Moms in communities, they care about health, but they also care about price, taste, and brand. And so if you're not nailing price, taste, and brand first before health we see as about number 4. So you need to nail price, taste, and brand with any product, with any intervention, before you can get to the health claim. So, but again, all the ingredients are there to build a healthy food system, and the market forces can be better aligned. It just takes a little bit of support in kind of these key areas.
And you will give them a little kick in that direction towards more healthy products within the existing system structures and frameworks. Taylor, can you tell me how you will measure success in your project? What is a success and what is a failure in your project?
Yeah, so we've experienced a lot of failure, working with the wrong partners, working on product concepts that didn't take off. And I think everything we do is really rooted in community and a lot of humility. And if something doesn't work at the community level, we've pivoted, different product concepts. Maybe we're not working with the right partner on the ground, and that's okay. And really being willing to admit that failure and continue to grow and move on. But success for us is, of course, working with more entrepreneurs in more countries to prove out a business model here that, hey, healthy, delicious food that's marketed in a sexy way, it is profitable and it can be done in countries around the world. But to be honest with you, Paul, we are only ever going to be a small organization, and we're trying to grow as fast as possible, but it takes hundreds of years to build, a truly global food company. And so we hope that the learnings from our work, the case studies we developed to say, hey, selling healthy food to low-income people, there's a real business model there. We hope that other companies, other big nonprofit organizations adopt a similar approach, and adopt an approach, whether again in their for-profit operations or nonprofit operations. So success for us looks like scaling our own efforts, but also influencing other organizations and policymakers to adopt some of the learnings we've learned in our work to impact the food system more broadly.
So not necessarily impacting health, but to impact the sales of health of healthy product at the community level. Maybe somebody else will monitor health outcomes in some time within the framework of your projects.
Yeah. And if I can just touch on the health outcomes piece. So yeah, how we measure kind of our metrics every day is, yes, more from an economics perspective of how many jobs for women in vulnerable communities have we created, how many healthy meals have we sold and are people consuming every day. But then we work with research partners. So in the past, we've done a research study with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and Acumen funded a research study on our model in Liberia. And we're currently in talks with a number of academic institutions about funding a larger study looking at the actual health impact of our model.
Very, very interesting. I have a question about the virtual community of involved entrepreneurs that you are considering establishing, or which may already be established. I'm not quite sure, but maybe you can shed some light on that. How will such a virtual community work? And is that virtual community at a national level, or are you referring to it as an international virtual community? And how will it work in your view?
Yeah, thank you for bringing this up because I forgot to mention it earlier. So, one of the goals moving forward, and when I talked about moving from kind of reactive projects and a reactive structure to a more proactive structure as an organization, this is one of the big areas where that comes into play. Right now, we have informally connected the entrepreneurs we work with, but what we've seen is that there's so many interesting lessons in Liberia or in Brazil that could be applied in Mozambique or Madagascar or Somalia. And so we're now going to be establishing a kind of virtual learning community, an online community for our entrepreneurs in different markets to be able to better collaborate, to learn from each other, for them to run workshops, webinars, etc. with each other, and really to collaborate in new and novel ways. So yes, across countries, across continents, across language in some settings. So that's, an important part of what we're trying to do is really put the entrepreneurs in the spotlight. We don't want to be the gatekeepers of information, our core team. We want our entrepreneurs to be able to interact directly and to be able to share learnings from rural northern Liberia with an entrepreneur in urban Sao Paulo, Brazil, or urban Kathmandu, Nepal.
This is indeed an impressive setup, Taylor. Sincere congratulations to you and your team for this project, and thank you so much for that. And thank you to all three of you. It has been really, really exciting to hear about your interventions, your projects, and to discuss them with you. So what I'm going to do now is to hand over the floor again to Niels, who will then wrap up and end this webinar. So Niels, over to you.
Thank you, Paul. And thank you very much for guiding us through and managing the session with our speakers from different places in the world. It went quite smoothly, I think, and I think it was a really good discussion. I think when it's almost a year ago that we started talking about, wouldn't it be great if we could find some innovative, passionate groups of people around the world who could help design innovative solutions for vulnerable people in the field of food systems. And out of that came the idea of the Healthy Food Challenge. And I think today we saw 3 examples, but there are many more among the ones who submitted. But here I think are 3 fine examples of that enthusiasm, innovation, engagement, passion, all of those things that we were looking for in as we hope for when we launched the Healthy Food Challenge. This recording will be available online, and we will be posting a link to the recording on LinkedIn, and will be available on the Healthy Food Challenge website. If you're interested in knowing more from the winners, you are welcome to write to the Healthy Food Challenge at nosco.co, and we will make sure that the connections are made to the project owners and the speakers today. So all that is left for me is to say thank you and congratulations to the 3 winners represented by Gwyneth Cortez, Gonzalo Folgado and Taylor Quinn, who spoke to us today. And a final word of thanks to Paul Block and the rest of the Global Selection Panel who worked diligently and hard to end up with these specific 3 winners we had today. I wish you the best of the remainder of your day, and thank you very much.